We are now living through the most dangerous 48 hours in the history of the entire Middle East. At the very moment you hear this, the region is literally teetering on the brink, holding its breath, waiting for the great explosion. Forget all the talk about routine military movements or the empty threats we've grown accustomed to over the years. Today, we're witnessing a strategic landscape being reshaped by fire, and this time, the spark has the power to burn everything in its path. On January 31st, 2026, satellite eyes were focused intelligently and terrifyingly on a specific point in Iran. Specifically on the nuclear facilities that were literally crushed under bombardment during the 12-day war that erupted in June 2025. But what the satellites captured wasn't just rubble or destruction, it was frantic activity, a frantic race against time. Metal roofs were being built on top of the ruins in record time. The whole world began to ask in terrified silence, what are the Iranians hiding, and why are they in such a hurry? Welcome to the behind-the-scenes story of the most dangerous military operation the region has faced in decades. This isn't just a story about planes and missiles, it's the night the masks fell, the moment everyone had their finger on the trigger, waiting to see who would stand firm when the knives were drawn. To understand why we are facing this explosion in February 2026, we must take a step back to June 2025, specifically to the operation known militarily as Midnight Hammer. This war was unconventional. It obliterated the Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordo facilities. But despite its terrifying precision, it left behind one unanswered question: where did the nuclear materials go? The ceasefire that followed wasn't the end of the war, it was merely a lull. By January 2026, US intelligence had picked up alarming signals. The Iranians had begun a rescue and extraction operation to recover the nuclear materials buried beneath the rubble. We're talking about a terrifying and costly mystery, the fate of 409 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, the whereabouts of which have been completely lost by the International Atomic Energy Agency. This isn't just a number, it's a nuclear treasure, enough to manufacture several nuclear warheads in a matter of weeks. America realized that disaster was imminent and that it had to seize this treasure before it reached fortified bunkers deep in the mountains and changed the game forever. Once the information was confirmed, the massive American operation began. Radars detected a logistical airlift, the likes of which the region hadn't seen since the invasion of Iraq. 42 giant C-17 and C-5M cargo planes transported heavy military assets and air defense systems from the heart of America and Europe to the Central Command area in just 8 days. This airlift wasn't carrying food or medical supplies. It was transporting the hammer that would strike and the shield that would protect. America needed to compensate for the severe shortage of interceptor missiles, especially after depleting 25% of its THAAD system stockpile in the 2025 war. The cargo that landed at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar and Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan consisted of advanced shields to protect the bases from the expected barrage of missiles with the first American strike. But the most dangerous thing wasn't the defense systems. The real danger lay hidden inside the aircraft coming from Fort Campbell, the headquarters of the 101st Airborne Division and the 160th Special Operations Regiment. These weren't bases guarding, they were hunters, tasked with infiltrating behind enemy lines and intercepting convoys transporting missing uranium before they disappeared. Then came February 1st, 2026. Suddenly, without warning, the entire Arabian Gulf was plunged into a complete electronic fog. GPS signals were either completely cut off or manipulated. Commercial ships, civilian aircraft, and warships, everyone was blinded. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a digital smokescreen designed to conceal highly precise movements on the ground and in the air. The signal to begin had been given. Iran, for its part, didn't stand idly by. It completely transformed its military. And because its proxies in the region were now constrained and fighting local battles for survival, Iran found itself exposed. At this point, the Iranian regime entered a phase of existential survival. The decision was decisive: to relocate all sensitive activities to a fortress carved into the heart of solid basalt. This was the Mount of the Shovel complex, south of the old Natanz site. Intelligence estimates confirmed that the main halls of this complex were buried under more than 100 meters of solid basalt rock. This place wasn't designed merely to provide hiding places for leaders. It was specifically engineered to withstand the Great Destruction, the American GBU-57 bunker buster bombs, weighing 30,000 pounds. Iran was building a concrete coffin behind locked doors to serve as the final poison pill. If they succeeded in smuggling the 409 kilograms of uranium into this mountain and the doors remained closed, the American window of opportunity would be sealed shut, leaving only the nuclear option. To understand the current state of affairs, we must turn our attention to the warm waters of the Gulf and the Sea of Oman. We are not simply witnessing warships in motion. We are facing a bloody clash between technological might and suicidal desperation. The aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln leads a strike force of 9 destroyers alongside the giant USS Gerald R. Ford, which alone carries 75 aircraft, including F-35 stealth fighters. This force boasts a firepower of 150 combat aircraft and 15,000 American troops on high alert. But Tehran knows that a ship-to-ship engagement would be certain suicide. Therefore, it has decided to play the monster hunt card, relying entirely on the whale torpedo. This is no ordinary torpedo. It's a monster that moves using supercavity technology. It surrounds itself with a gas bubble that reduces water friction, allowing it to reach speeds of up to 360 kilometers per hour, 4 times the speed of conventional torpedoes. The Iranian supreme leader stated it explicitly: the weapon that can sink a ship is more dangerous than the ship itself. At the same time, the Revolutionary Guard deployed the drone carrier Shahid Bagheri. This 240-meter-long commercial vessel was transformed into a floating airbase carrying 60 Shahed 136 drones. The plan? Swarming by swarms. They would send 20 cheap wooden drones, costing only $20,000 each, to force American destroyers to launch interceptor missiles costing $1 million each. But what Tehran hadn't accounted for was the reverse surprise. The Pentagon had prepared a Scorpion Sting force with a new weapon called Lucas. The Lucas drone is simply a reverse-engineered American-made replica of the Iranian Shahed 136. America decided to overwhelm Iran's crumbling air defenses with its own weapon.
What can Iran do to avoid attack?
Give us the deal that they should have given us the first time. If they give us the right deal, we won't do that.
Because Tehran is bleeding from within due to bloody protests in which thousands have died, it fears that this mobilization could be the second phase of the regime's decapitation. Therefore, it has given free rein to its proxies. In Yemen, the Houthis are no longer just an armed group. They have equipped their drones with jet engines, allowing them to reach speeds of 200 to 600 kilometers per hour, thus reducing naval defense reaction time to almost zero. In Iraq, Kataib Hezbollah has threatened to strike American interests with the Al-Aqsa-1 ballistic missile and the Arqam cruise missile, which can reach Haifa and the eastern Mediterranean. We are now facing the prospect of an out-of-control operation. The entire region is teetering on the brink, and the machinery of war is fully loaded. The Gulf states have distanced themselves and closed their airspace to any strikes, further complicating the American mission. Are we facing a swift and violent nuclear sterilization, or will the world awaken to an unprecedented economic shock triggered by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait? The coming days, even hours, will determine the fate of this lost nuclear gold. If you are someone interested in the inner workings of the military world, the secrets of intelligence, and the shifts in international politics that aren't shown on traditional news channels, stay tuned for this journey. Support this content by subscribing to the channel and sharing the episode, because what's coming will likely be far more dangerous and profound. The question for you now in the comments: do you think America will risk a full-scale war to destroy the Al-Mawal mountain? Or will Iran succeed in smuggling the uranium out and imposing a new reality? Share your opinion with me, and we'll meet in the next episode.